A depleted Liverpool stun Leicester, and all or nothing finally pays off with Jose Mourinho on top of the table. Hi and welcome to All Balls, a show that keeps you up to date with all the Premier League action and fantasy football tips. Hi guys, I'm Rahul Bell, and in the interest of having a fun football conversation, we do not have Rohan Manglani with us, but the evergreen Samir Kapoor. Sam, how's it going?
Going good, man. Thanks for having me here. Great pleasure to be here. Been watching your show and really love it. So very glad to be here and have a conversation with you about football.
Sam, I know what you do, how you coach multiple teams and what all you've done. But for our viewers, why don't you tell us a bit about your career in the coaching field?
So I've been coaching for the past 7 years now. I've been working full time as a coach for the last 3 years. I've got my AFC certification done. I've got my C license currently. I've been working with under 18 I League teams in Mumbai. I was working with Mumbai City FC in 2018-19. Last season working with Oscar SSC. Over and above that, working with an MDFA Super Division team called Young Guns now, which you are aware of. So we got promoted from the first division in Mumbai to the second to the Super Division now. So we've started our pre-season training. So yeah, that's about it. That's what I'm doing currently in this lockdown.
So like I said, in the interest of having good football conversation, even without Rohan and the English Premier League, we have some interesting insights. Let's get right into it with Brighton versus Liverpool at the Amex.
Okay.
Liverpool, depleted squad, stunning Leicester. 20 shots on target for that squad without, a Mo Salah and most of their players at the back. Brighton getting Lamptey sent off in their last game. How do you think that game is going to pan out?
I think Brighton's not won a home game this season, so I think Liverpool should dominate and continue the quest to chase down Chelsea, chase down Spurs and get to the top of the table. So I think it should be an easy win for Liverpool. And given their last game, they were phenomenal against Leicester. I think the first goal was very important. Liverpool has been superb on set pieces. So I think they got their first goal on a Johnny Evans own goal, which happened on a James Milner corner. So yeah, Liverpool, I think, are going to get back on track now, even though they have people missing. There's no Van Dijk, there's no Gomez, but I think the replacements they have in place of them, they are pretty good.
I mean, one of them being Jota, he's scored 4 and 4 to create a club record. You have Robertson, who has the most assists in Europe's top 5 leagues. So they look like a squad that even without their main men, they're still going for the goals, they're still going for the win. It's not like, okay, I'm an injured squad, I will sit back. No. Everyone thought a Jamie Vardy, a Tielemans will run over a defense like Liverpool's, but that didn't happen. Brighton on the other side, they had a great game against Aston Villa, but now they're missing Lamptey. And they're playing a Liverpool that might just have reinforcements, from injuries. So, how do you think that game is going to pan out, considering Liverpool is away from home this time?
See, I personally feel when you spoke about Diogo Jota, he's been the signing of the season for me. Amongst all the club, all the recruits, Jota has been phenomenal. You spoke about his record in the Premiership, but even for his country, he got a hat-trick in the UEFA Nations League. And if you saw his hat-trick, his goals were phenomenal. His first touch, his finishing, his vision, his movement, everything was right up there for a top-notch finisher. So I think Liverpool shouldn't struggle much when it comes to attack. But when it comes to defense, yeah, against the big teams, it might hurt them when they don't have Van Dijk. And Van Dijk not only in the defense, even going ahead for them on set pieces. Like Liverpool scored 12 more set pieces than the second ranked team in EPL last season. So Liverpool totally pay a lot of attention to their set pieces and rely heavily on set pieces. They get a lot of goals from their set pieces. They are the only team in the Premiership to actually have a throw-in coach. So yeah, I feel Van Dijk would be missed, but Jota being a great signing would help them. Coming to Brighton, when you spoke about Lamptey, I personally don't think that he deserved a second yellow. Maybe they'll appeal. Maybe it'll get
turned
over the red card. But I personally don't see Brighton causing Liverpool problems
because they've beaten an Aston Villa side that was in form. While an Aston Villa at home and an Aston Villa away are two completely different teams, like we've seen this season. But considering that they have gone to Liverpool and they won 7-2, they've beaten Arsenal. It wasn't an easy game. So that confidence, you think they will trouble Liverpool, or will Liverpool just comfortably walk over them?
I think Liverpool is a much more consistent team compared to Aston Villa. So I don't think they would be troubled much by Brighton. Once they get that first goal, it's going to be an easy win for Liverpool is what I feel.
So your
personally.
prediction?
I would say 3-1 Liverpool.
Palace versus Newcastle at Selhurst Park. Sam, Crystal Palace has not lost to Newcastle in their last 5 games, but there is no Wilfried Zaha in this game. It affected them in the last game. You could see no attacking threat from Palace versus Burnley. What do you think? How badly is this going to affect them for the time that he is not there?
I think Zaha is definitely the most potent attacking threat that Crystal Palace have. So it's going to be a big loss for them, obviously. But then you're going to see even Newcastle don't have Callum Wilson with them. I'm not sure if he's fully recovered to play in the starting 11 yet. But if these two players are not there, it would be a very exciting encounter to watch, I think.
A very boringly exciting encounter because Wilson has got 6 goals for Newcastle. You saw that against Chelsea where there was absolutely no threat. You had a Joelinton, but he's not as strong as a Callum Wilson in terms of running behind the defenders, getting those, just getting those snapshots in, creating those chances. Do they resort to a plan B with an Andy Carroll? Do they have that option, or do you still feel that they will go with, the Joelinton, the Maximo combination, which is along the ground? Because for me, Newcastle was a team with Andy Carroll that can change the dimensions of the game with that aerial threat. With no Callum Wilson, probably in or out. Let's consider him being out. What do you think should be the game plan?
I think then yes, as you said, Andy Carroll definitely would be a strategy the coach could use to have him as a target man. But I personally don't believe much in that now, because I think the new generation players, the Palace players, everyone in the Premiership now, they are very well equipped to handle the long ball coming in, to prepare for the knockdowns. So I don't think that it would work, but it's definitely worth a try. If you don't have Callum Wilson, then what else can you do? As you said, against Chelsea, they were, very blank in front of the goal. They didn't have many chances to score. So you need to make something happen in the final third. You have Saint-Maximin for that. Joelinton, again, I don't think he's Premiership quality to get them even maybe 8 or 10 goals this season. So Andy Carroll, I haven't seen much of him in the last couple of seasons, but definitely worth a try, why not?
So you're going with a draw, or do you have?
I would go for a draw. I would definitely go for a draw.
Manchester City versus Burnley at the Etihad. Sam, Burnley getting their first win in 8, and City, after, debatable, but you can say dominating the game against Spurs, not getting the goals, coming out, with a 2-0 defeat. So first, let's get to, Burnley with their first win. They, of course, I wouldn't want to say played a depleted Crystal Palace side, but without Zaha, it more or less seems like that. But were strong defensively, which we have seen in their past games. So against a City side that against Spurs had about 66% possession. They had, 19 chances created. Do you think a Burnley is high on confidence to get anything against this Manchester City side?
Well, I personally don't think so. Burnley can get a result against Man City. You spoke about them getting the first win of the season against Palace. If you saw that game, they got a very lucky goal which came off the defender's back, and Chris Wood went free on goal and he scored. Man City, on the other hand, a lot of criticism because of the start they've had to the season. They've conceded goals, they've not scored many. So I personally feel they're missing Sterling, they're missing Aguero, and with them back, if they play in the starting lineup, I see a goal fest against Burnley. Even though they have Nick Pope in goal, who's been in good form, I think City are currently hurting. They need to put a statement out there. Everyone, needs to know that they are title contenders again. The players would be really hungry. So, yeah, I think Burnley's going to have a tough time.
So, we've said this before, what City has been missing is that striker, that out-and-out striker. They've tried the false nine. They're now playing Torres over there, who had a good international break. But then again, they have an Aguero. Would that have made a difference against Spurs, having an out-and-out striker rather than a winger playing as a makeshift striker?
I think Gabriel Jesus played as a striker against Spurs. So I am very fond of Jesus. But Aguero in the Premiership has his own persona. It's that fear he instills in the mind of the defenders. So he's definitely a presence there. I would really, rank him up there with Harry Kane, Danny Ings in the current crop of strikers which is there in the Premiership. So yeah, there's no way you can compare a Ferran Torres to him. So I would feel that if Aguero is back and if he is fit and if he's sharp up to match fitness, then it would make a real difference to the way Man City attacks. Because if he gets half a chance, he's got a deadly first touch and a superb finish on him. So I think that's what City needs.
You spoke about City leaking goals at the back. Now, my personal opinion was that both those goals were, goalkeeping errors. I saw it in the post-match where they said that if he would have probably stayed on his line, that would not have been an easier chance for the striker. Not saying that it would not have been a goal, but the striker would have to do much more and the keeper would have more of a chance to save it. Do you agree to that?
See, what I personally notice as a coach, what I see when Man City plays is they have a very high line. So Ederson's starting point is not on his goal line. His starting point is pretty much ahead of the penalty spot, you can say. So then when a one-on-one comes through, you want Ederson to backtrack and rush to his goal line, or you want him to come up and make the angle smaller. So I don't think you can blame him for coming up and making the angle smaller. I think Son put it through his legs.
Even Lo Celso put it through his legs.
The margin of error there is, if that was not hit properly, maybe Ederson would have made a good save with his body. So I personally don't think it was the keeper's error. I would tell my goalkeeper that if you're one-on-one against the striker, if he's running onto you, go up, make the angle small, and do shut the gap between your legs. He was unfortunate there. The first touch by Son and the finish by Lo Celso were superb, taking nothing away from them. But I wouldn't blame the goalkeeper for those, honestly.
So what's your prediction for the goal fest? Give me a number.
I would say more than 3 goals. I would say 4-0, 4-0 or 4-1 maybe.
Everton versus Leeds at Goodison Park. Sam, massive coaches at both ends. Let's get to Everton first. They won 1 out of their last 4. Dominic Calvert-Lewin has been the only saving grace for them through this season. Defensively, I think apart from the first match where they kept a clean sheet against Spurs, they found it difficult to, keep a clean sheet in comparison to a Leeds team that is doing great away from home. So what is your take on this game?
So, as you said, there are 2 great coaches against each other. There's Bielsa versus Ancelotti. I personally love both of them. I look up to them as coaches. I really like to see the way they put their teams tactically out against each other. So yeah, it'll be a great game to watch. It'll be a great battle. As you said about Calvert-Lewin's form, he's been amazing. I think at home, he's got a good record as well. I just feel that in this match, since both the teams would be tactically well equipped with each other's playing style, the team which has better individual players, better players who stand up for the big match, who've been used to playing at the big occasion, that team would, come out triumphant in the end. Plus, having the home advantage would count. So I personally feel that Everton should win this game against Leeds. As you said, Leeds have a good record away from home, but I don't see them, going to Everton and getting a result. I personally think that the quality which Everton have, especially from the flanks, with Digne coming in from the left, with Colbin if he's there, with Rodriguez, with Richarlison back now, I think this Everton team has goals in them. And when Leeds attack, they commit players forward. They take pride in their system of, running up, running down, everyone defending together, attacking together. But Everton would find spaces because of that. And, if they manage to exploit that, then it should be an easy win for Everton.
Spaces with players of quality like James Rodriguez and Richarlison.
Exactly.
But on the other end, Patrick Bamford, he scored 7 times, away from home. He is their top scorer. He is prolific in front of goal. He's got a hat-trick against Villa away from home as well. And like I said, Everton have only kept 1 clean sheet against Spurs in the first game week. Post that, they've had their keeper worries, their defensive worries. That keeping that in mind, also Leeds dominated Arsenal. They had 25 shots against that Arsenal side. So will that affect the game? Leeds do have a chance there because Everton is not very strong defensively.
Yeah, I completely agree with you when you say that Everton are not defensively strong. I don't expect this to be, a game wherein one team has a clean sheet while the other concedes goals. I think both teams would concede goals. Both teams have a phenomenal attacking force with them. As you said, Bamford is in great form. They have Rodrigo, who is in form. So yeah, I feel that both teams would go out there and score goals. Leeds were unlucky against Arsenal when they hit the woodwork. I think 4 times they hit the woodwork. They couldn't get a result. But you need to remember Arsenal got a red card. Leeds were playing at home. And I think keeping all that in mind, I personally feel that even though both teams are going to leak goals in their defense, Everton might just outscore Leeds and we could see an entertaining, say maybe a 3-2 or a 4-3.
I was just about to get that. Is it going to be a matter of, who's going to outscore whom?
Yeah, that's what I feel.
Yeah, so it's because defensively they both,
Exactly.
So you're tilting towards Everton.
I would go towards the home team, which is Everton. And
I don't know. I somehow feel Leeds is going to, nick this. West Brom versus Sheffield at the Hawthorns. Relegation battle so early in the season. It's last versus second last. Sheffield's got 1 point, West Brom's got 3. So, what do you think?
I think both the teams have struggled. West Brom has been more defensively sound than Sheffield, I would say. I think Sheffield have really had it tough this season. I think they've just got 1 point in 9 games, which is very bad compared to what they had last season. So it's going to be a game wherein the team which has most desire should turn up winners, man.
I mean, they were 9th at this time last season. No, but West Brom, I just feel will nick it because, they've got more goals in them. They had that little thing, where against Chelsea they went 3-0 up. While at Sheffield, we've been talking about it, they have no threat attackingly. They have no pace going forward. They play as a unit and all that, is good. But then you need the goals or you need the clean sheets. But for those clean sheets, you need that one goal, which they are also not getting. So for me, I personally feel West Brom might just nick it and get their first win. But what do you think?
I think I'd go for a draw with goals or set pieces. That's what I think will happen in the game. So Rahul, Southampton versus Manchester United. United had to toil and work hard against
Wipe that
West
grin
Brom
off your face.
to get a 1-0 result from a retaken Bruno Fernandes penalty.
That was very obvious. He was off his line before the ball could be kicked. Do not give me that crap. But otherwise, yeah, it was shit. It was absolute shit. I mean, Bruno created the chances. Yes, Martial needs to be benched now. I used to hate Fred. I probably don't hate him as much anymore. But then again, West Brom, we spoke about it in, the last episode as well, that these are the kind of games where you feel that United is going to comfortably win it, and then suddenly, you come across a situation where like they might just nick it, or, you need that luck which United got with, the Bruno Fernandes penalty, which went in our favour and which went against us. Now, obviously, as a United fan, but keeping that aside, I feel that Bruno nicked the ball, while some rascals over here do not agree with me and are grinning their asses off in front of camera. But yeah, I just feel that United still are not there. While our away form is, it's great. We won all our away games this season. So that is the only thing that, gives me the impression that probably we will get something against a Southampton side who are there. I mean, even without Danny Ings, they're getting the results. They're 5th on the table. They're getting their goals. They tortured us after the restart as well last season in our quest to come 3rd. So it's not going to be an easy game. Southampton had a decent enough game versus Wolves, I would say. They had Theo Walcott scoring after 14 years. But then again, nothing. They created more chances than United did. So it's going to be, again, a very, very difficult game. Stop smiling. But it is going to be a very difficult game. But the only thing that's keeping me going is that the away form is good.
Okay. So do you think United, speaking about the away form, they lost the last time they played away in the Champions League.
I was waiting.
At
That
Istanbul.
come back and bite me.
They're playing that same team midweek in the Champions League. So do you think working hard against West Brom, the fatigue on the players' bodies, which would take toll again in the Champions League, would that affect their performance against Southampton when they...
It would, yes, but compared to last season, we have a little more quality. I won't say extremely good quality, but a little more quality on the bench, in terms of your Van de Beeks, considering that, our the best player in France sits on our bench. So consider you have a Mata, you have other youngsters coming in as well, replacements at left back, at right back, at centre back. So the quality on the bench is better to, cope up with the crunch fixtures that are there. Obviously, it's not easy, like Ole said in his interviews about, having so many fixtures getting to the players. Yes, fatigue will play an important role, which is what I'm worried about again, that Southampton do not play Champions League. So they will be fresh. Again, they're in form, but only the away form is something that is, keeping me going. And the fact that Bruno is again back to, I won't say again back to, he had a blip in the middle, but he's back to form again, or he's showing glimpses. So yeah, that's one thing that is going to drive.
So what scoreline would you predict for the game?
Probably 2-1 United. I do not trust them keeping a clean sheet with Harry Maguire at the back. I know he played 20 million plus maybe last game, but no clean sheet. 1 for Southampton only because there was no Danny Ings. If there was a Danny Ings, this would have been a completely different game. But yeah, just the away form keeps me going that United might just come away with this one. Chelsea versus the current table toppers at Stamford Bridge. Sam, let's get to Chelsea first. Not conceded a goal in 630 minutes in all competitions. They did not have Thiago Silva in the last game. he will most likely, come back into that centre back role. First thing, and I have always believed that he is a leader. I want to know from you how important he is to that squad.
I think the Chelsea backline currently has young players and they have new players. Like Chilwell is a new signing, Zuma is young, James is young, Mendy is new. So you need someone as experienced as Thiago Silva to just basically organize the defense, tell them what line to hold, how compact to be, how to move together as a unit. So I think that's why Lampard and Peter Cech have got Thiago Silva into the team. I think they struggled initially for the team to settle in, for Thiago Silva himself to settle in, a new country, language barriers, new teammates. But I think it's all falling in place now for Lampard. And like as you said, 7 games, no goals conceded. What better could you ask for as a manager? They have potency in their attack. Ziyech is there. Pulisic is soon to be back. Tammy Abraham scoring goals. So I think Chelsea are in red hot form now. But then so are their opponents.
Exactly. Coming
Spurs.
to Spurs, top assists in the season in Kane. He has 9 assists. Top goals in Son. They have, I won't say demolished, but tactically demolished a Manchester City team, who were brilliant on paper and brilliant last season. But, I mean, they just brushed them aside. And their away form is good as well. They won, their 4 away games. With Harry Kane and Son playing like they are, and with the backup now they have on the bench in terms of a Gareth Bale, and the most important player, which is Højbjerg in the middle, most tackles won. He's dominating that midfield with Ndombele and Sissoko running off him. How difficult is it going to be for Chelsea to keep a clean sheet in this game?
See, I personally feel that Mourinho's done a fantastic job with Spurs. I've heard from you and I've seen on your show itself, Mourinho being criticized about his tactics and about his style of playing. I know you hate him, but I personally feel he's done a fantastic job with Spurs. The whole system of Kane dropping and Son running in behind the back four has been phenomenal. Kane has provided assists with his right foot, with his left foot. We've not seen that part of Kane so far. We've seen him all and out as a goal scorer. But with Dele Alli not there, Kane dropping in that hole and the others making runs behind him, I think it's working fantastically for Mourinho. He's got Reguilon in on the left who bombards up. You spoke about Højbjerg, how he acts as a controlling agent while the others are free to, instill chaos in their gameplay. I think it's working fantastically. Mourinho does have more experience over Lampard. He does have that tactical expertise. So I'm, personally looking forward to the clash as a fan, as a spectator, as a coach. I would love to see what the two teams, what system they come up with, formation-wise with the ball and without the ball. And, I think it'll be a great encounter to watch.
I think without the ball, Spurs probably, they like playing that game, where Mourinho personally likes hitting teams on the counter. And recently, Jamie Carragher said on one of his shows that Kane is probably the best street smart striker he's seen in a very long time. He's the best version of himself right now, and he's giving credit to Mourinho. So do you see Spurs, creating that gap between Chelsea in this game, or Chelsea being that potent attacking side that they are, having more pace than a Spurs defense? Now I mention pace because Spurs are very good defensively, yes, but then the two centre-backs in Dyer and Alderweireld, they were great against Man City, but then again they were not really troubled by that much pace. Mahrez he's fast, but he's not the fastest. So Sterling would have probably, created more issues. Coming to Chelsea, where they have pace, even in terms of their fullbacks, with Reece James on one side, you have your Tammy through the centre, you have Werner, who we saw last game, devastating pace. Is that going to trouble a side like Mourinho's?
See, when you speak about the pace of the front three, it totally depends on what kind of a system Jose employs. If he wants a low block in his defense or if he wants a high defensive line, which I don't think he would employ against a fast team like Chelsea. So, I think tactically the managers would, put the best teams out there, put their knowledge to best use. And I personally feel that the pace of Chelsea, the 1v1 dribbling ability of the Chelsea players, like if Reguilon goes up from the left-hand side and Ziyech plays on the right wing, which he does as an inverted left-footed winger, I think that's what could give Chelsea the upper edge and could cause problems to Tottenham, especially when there's transition of play. Once Reguilon is gone and he's committed himself into the final third, then before he falls back, if Ziyech gets the ball and if he can cause some damage, then I think Chelsea would cause real problems to the Tottenham backline.
So with all my love for Jose Mourinho, I am going for a 2-0 for Chelsea. What do you predict for this game?
I think the Spurs team has shown immense desire and they believe that they can, give it a real shot at winning the title this time. So their motivation levels and desire levels, what I find as a viewer, are really high. So I don't think they'll go down without a fight. They would score. So maybe I would say 2-1 Chelsea.
With a lonely heart, I come to Arsenal versus Wolves at the Emirates. For those of you wondering why we have beautiful faces on the show and not Rohan Manglani, is because he is busy in Dubai and has sent some very positive vibes with Willian against Leeds. But Sam, getting into the game, Arsenal have to score from open play. They have not scored from open play in the last 8 hours. Now, what I felt was it was because they do not have that creativity in the center. The Mesut Ozil / Mesut Ozil kind of player is missing. All they have is the wings where they used to play Willian and Aubameyang. Aubameyang needs to come in the center. So first, your opinion on that?
See, I think in modern football, most teams go with the mentality of having their most creative and, most devastating players on the wing, especially if they're playing a 4-3-3 or if they are set up in a way to attack from the wing. So Arteta has gone with the mindset this season that I have Aubameyang on one side, I have, Pepe, and I have Nketiah, and I have Saka, whoever, they have Willian. So they've tried to strengthen on the wings, but that's left a big hole in the center. So since it's not working out for them to build through the wings and to attack through the wings, as you said, they are missing a number 10, someone who plays behind the striker in that hole, who can give them that creativity like a De Bruyne does or a David Silva did. Or, even in Liverpool, if you go to see, there is no number 10 as such, but Firmino leaves his centre forward position, drops back
to link play.
Yeah, he plays in that hole. So basically, Arsenal doesn't have anyone to play in that hole. Lacazette can't fall and play in that hole. I think last match they tried Joe Willock to play in that hole, but it didn't work out so well. So I have no problem with Arsenal when it comes to their build-up play, when it comes to reaching to the final third. But once they reach the final third, it's not yet clicking for them.
But your best finisher is Aubameyang. Why would you not play him in the middle? He has pace, he has the ability to get behind defenders, and we've all seen what he can do in terms of finishing. Why would you still insist with playing him on the left wing? When you have a Bukayo Saka who can play there, you have options on the right wing. Obviously now with Pepe being sent off, I mean, stupid for that money, that stature, doing something like that, getting sent off. Arteta not happy, but they still have other options. So why not try Aubameyang in the center? Because he even comes deep to get the ball and then starts play.
See, I believe personally that if your team's main problem is goal scoring, you need your two best goal scorers on the pitch. And for me, in Arsenal, that's Lacazette and Aubameyang. Now, if Aubameyang plays in the centre, where does Lacazette play? Lacazette doesn't have that same pace and that same work rate which Aubameyang brings on the wing. So I think in order to accommodate Lacazette in the centre, he's been playing Aubameyang on the wing. Again, taking what you said, he did try to play Aubameyang in the centre. That didn't work out well. They got a red card and Pepe got sent off. So Arsenal is currently struggling to score goals. Let's see if they maybe play Ceballos in that number 10 role, or they find someone else to play in that number 10 role, or they don't play that system wherein you need a number 10, they play from the wings. I don't know what new method would, I think a 3-4-3, what he played last season, it worked well when they won the FA Cup, when they did well after the COVID break, Arsenal. I think that's what he would be trying.
And one important stat for you, Rohan, is that Bruno has 25 chances created and Arsenal has 20. Moving on to their opponents, like we mentioned off camera, mini Portugal. Wolves have been doing well. Their manager was very happy how they reacted to the goal last time. Raul Jimenez, obviously, one of the top strikers in the Premier League. They've added to their artillery after Jota left with Podence and, Pedro Neto coming in. They have Traore on the bench. They have good wing backs, fast wing backs. They play a different system with three at the back. Now, Arsenal being out of form, Wolves, I wouldn't say being, at their full potential, but I think they have enough to beat this Arsenal side.
Yeah, like even I believe that Wolves does have enough to beat the Arsenal side, especially because the potency they have in front of goal. As you said, Neto, Jimenez, these guys are in good form. These guys are genuine goal scorers. So they would definitely cause problems to the Arsenal defence. But I think Tierney and Holding and Gabriel and is David Luiz fit? I don't know. If these guys are fit, they should be strong enough to hold the Wolves team. And if Arsenal can, nick a couple of goals, or at least the first goal, if Arsenal can score the first goal, then they can show some resilience and, at home get a result.
They need the first goal. The last time they scored from open play, Thomas Partey was still in Spain. So, Rohan. But I'm just saying, what? Okay, let's come to it. Final prediction for this game.
Well, I think with Pepe sent off and the current vein of form Arsenal are in, I don't give them a very high chance of winning. So I would say maybe 2-1 Wolves.
2-0 Wolves. Leicester versus Fulham at the King Power. Fulham conceding goals left, right, and centre. Against Everton, I mean, it was on the cards. Fulham were the team who have conceded the most amount of headers. And, Everton took full advantage of that. Moving to Leicester. Leicester with Jamie Vardy, last year's Golden Boot, didn't have the best game against Liverpool. What do you think they will do against this, weak? I won't say weak, but I'll say a Fulham side that concedes a lot of goals.
See, I personally feel that Leicester are, a force to reckon with when it comes to the top four. So for them to make it to the top four, they need to win such games, which their manager knows, their player knows, and they're very professional about their approach. So I think it's going to be an easy win for Leicester, and hopefully my FPL player Jamie Vardy is going to score and get some goals. And as you said, Fulham, they've not been scoring goals, they've been conceding, they've been missing penalties. It's not going right for them. Scott Parker, I think he's their manager, he's having a hard time with his first stint as a Premiership manager. But Brendan Rodgers, on the other hand, I feel is right up there as a manager when it comes to tactical expertise and getting the best out of his players. So I see a Leicester win here.
Because, Fulham have missed 3 penalties in 3 different games, while Leicester just keeps, getting penalties. And hopefully for your FPL, at 10.1 with Jamie Vardy giving you 2 points, it must have hurt this week.
And missing a penalty before that.
Exactly. Yeah. So, your final prediction for this game?
Leicester 3-1 and Jamie Vardy 2 goals.
Okay. West Ham versus Aston Villa at the London Stadium. Sam, starting with Aston Villa, not a great outing last time. After, what they did against Arsenal, going down to Brighton the way they did. They're good away from home though, and they have the quality. Barkley, was taken off in that game, hopefully fit this time. But in Grealish, in McGinn, in Ollie Watkins, in Trezeguet, they had lots of chances but just couldn't score. Do you think West Ham is going to face now the wrath of that miss?
I personally was most disappointed with the Aston Villa game last week because I had Grealish as my captain and he did nothing. I think he got 1 point from the whole game. So as you said, Aston Villa have been doing well. The players you named, they are doing well for themselves, doing well for the club. But West Ham on the other hand, I feel are a more settled team. Their midfield with Souček and Declan Rice, they are, I think, more secure and more compact and more well-drilled as compared to Aston Villa. They have more experience there. So I personally would go for a West Ham win here, especially because I think Antonio might be back and he's been a good striker for them. He's got goals for them. Even his backup Allaire is doing well. But if Antonio comes back, that would boost their confidence. And they just got a victory last week against Sheffield. I think they won 1-0. So they would take that confidence with them. And I'd predict the home team to win.
Yeah, I mean, even for Villa, with Barkley going off, he was their driving force. The moment he came on loan, there was a different, motivation about him. You could see it in the Liverpool and the Arsenal game. So that was a big miss. He probably might not even be there for this game.
See, I feel that players like Barkley, they haven't made their name and secured a position for themselves in big clubs because they aren't that consistent week on week. They do have good games, they do have exceptional performances, but they can't do it week in, week out like the other top players in the top teams do. So again, it depends if he turns up on that day, what system they are playing against, what system they are playing themselves. Grealish is someone who's consistent and who's been fabulous for Villa. He has even started for England in the Nations League. So Grealish is an actual threat. Watkins is good, but I just somehow feel that West Ham would, stamp the authority on the game and nick the result.
And I mean, I want to end with one of my favorite questions. Do you think Aston Villa will replace Arsenal outside the big 6, probably for the big 8?
Not at all, bro. Not at all.
Disappointing.
Maybe Leeds, but not Aston Villa.
Guys, that brings us to the end of another episode of All Balls. Exciting week of football. City looking for redemption. Chelsea looking to go top of the table. And Liverpool looking to fill that half cup with the return from injuries. I want to thank Sam. Sam, thank you for joining us. And, just as a closing, you've been in the system. You've seen young Indian players play. What is your take on the progress of Indian football and on the future of Indian football?
Okay, firstly, thank you for having me here. It was great fun doing the show. And I'm glad you asked about Indian football. I honestly hope that, the way you all are covering the Premiership here and talking about the EPL, there soon comes a day wherein there are shows wherein we talk about Indian football, about the ISL, about the I League, about what's happening in the Indian circuit. Because I'm sure that all of you all sitting in this room and all those who are watching at home are doing it because you love football. And being Indians, you would love to see India grow as a country and become a proper footballing power in the world. So, being in the circuit myself, working with the under 18 age group, there's a lot of positive things which are happening. I'm not sure how many of you follow the ISL, but this season, at least the matches I've seen, the teams have picked up in quality. The football's becoming better. United and I think Southampton, they'd sent their teams before the lockdown happened, and we had the Reliance young champs play against them. There were matches which were shown on Facebook Live. So if anyone would have seen those matches, they would see that currently the current crop of players at the grassroots level are working with highly qualified coaches, if not Indian then international coaches, and they are focusing a lot on their technique and on their fitness. So I attended this webinar lately conducted by the coach of the Indian football team, Igor Stimac, which happened in the lockdown. So he told us that how India as a nation, we lack enough physicality compared to other Asian countries like say Iran, for example. How the Indian national team is currently putting in that effort in the gym, at home, following their diet, following their nutrition, and paying special attention about how they can develop the players physically and how they can hone their technical skills. Because once that reaches a certain level, we can compete with different world powers and make a name for ourselves in the footballing circuit. So I just hope that everyone watching here does support Indian football. If you have a local club in your area, go out, support them. Local club in your district, support them. If possible, watch the ISL games. I know they might not be as entertaining as the EPL games, but if you just go out there and we get some viewership, then that's how Indian football will grow. That's the reason I've taken up football as a career, because I personally want to see India compete in a World Cup very soon. So just, I would say an appeal to everyone watching here that, go out there and try to promote Indian football, man. With your support, we will get there.
That's brilliant. Thank you, Sam. And on that note, I would also like to remind you what Jofra, one of our guests on the special, said that in his stint in the ISL and in playing in Spain, he feels that currently the professionalism and the effort and the progress of Indian footballers shows way more than on the international footballers. So you've heard it from him, you've heard it from one of our own. Thank you for joining us on this episode. Do not forget to like, share, subscribe, leave your comments in the section below. Follow us on Instagram. Stay safe.